Hi guys, hope everything is fine at your end. Welcome to this session of Love Thy RC series. This is a series that is going to have 100 RCs, right? I call it RC 100 or Love Thy RCs. Why do I call it Love Thy RCs? Because you have to fall in love with your RCs and I try to make it lovable for you. So in every session, I try to show you the main idea, the flow, the tone, and how to handle your questions, how to identify the question stems and whatnot. So I hope these will help you in your cat. I'll take you over to the passage. Now I have picked this passage from the GMAT free repository. Okay, why? Because I like the question set very much. Okay, so अभी दिखाती हूँ आपको what I mean by a nice question set. कैसा कैसा है इसमें. पहले तो let's just check this passage here. It's no revelation that people prefer immediate rewards. Something psychological. We want immediate rewards, right? We are not so happy if we understand that the reward is going to come to us later. Right now we have to just slog it out. So maybe it's something related to that. And this also reminds me of behavioral economics, right? I mean, देखो, there is something called market and supply demand. Market and supply carry. Market ka demand and supply, those forces are there that determine how the market operates. But then some economists say that don't consider only your earning, your demand, and the way we supply things. No, there are some other factors also that would determine the demand of a particular market, and that is what they call behavioral economics. Things may go out of fashion, or let's say I have money right now, but then I have some insecurity about the future, so I'm going to save more, right? तो कुछ भी हो सकता है मेरे behavioral, and that's connected to psychology. ऐसा है. Okay, so this is something related to that only. अभी questions कैसे हैं आप देखो. The function of the second para within the passage may be characterized as what? This is called a structure or organization question. Cat देता है कभी कभी ऐसा भी. So you may as well get aware of this. Familiarity बढ़ाओ. So within the passage, so second para is written why. How is it connected to the rest of the passage? There are 3 paragraphs. What does the second para do? The passage suggests which of the following about the traits of indolence and apathy. Go to these particular points and pick those. ठीक है? So ये तो आपका specific info question हो गया. Then it can be inferred that the word hyperbolic in the phrase hyperbolic discounting, यहाँ पे highlight करना मैं भूल गई हूँ, so I'll cut this off. ठीक है? Signifies what in this context? According to the passage, which of the following is true of the children described in the passage who were able to wait to eat their first marshmallow? Children who were able to wait. There is a famous marshmallow test. अगर आपको नहीं भी पता है तो अभी आप देख लोगे. ठीक है? So this is again like something connected to the experiment. This is specific. Let's go back to the passage and see what it says. It is no revelation that people prefer immediate rewards. We all do. What is less well known is that people are willing to renounce, give up a significant portion of a given reward in order to expedite delivery. I mean, if you tell me that I can get 10 chocolates after 10 days and 5 chocolates if I want today, like normal people would, I would go for today because chocolate ही तो है ना, ठीक है चलो, but I feel like eating it today. So this is what he says here. People are willing to give up a significant portion of a given reward in order to expedite, make it fast, like what? Delivery. This phenomenon is known as discounting because the value of a delayed reward is discounted in the mind of the receiver. Discounting helps explain something. फिलहाल छोड़ दो इसको. Discounting क्या है समझ में आ गया. Behavioral economists. Now comes the main point. Have identified extreme discounting in experiments in which subjects were offered either $1 or $3 the next day. You give me $1 today compared to $3 that you're willing to give me tomorrow. तो क्या हुआ इसमें? Let's see. Individuals who consistently choose significantly smaller rewards for the immediacy, आज ही चाहिए, are described as present biased. Simple to understand चीजें हैं, right? Present bias. I'm biased towards my present. I want things to happen today. I feel my present is what I have. right, may seem innocuous, harmless, but it has serious ramifications. What implications does it have? In another experiment, so this is $1 wala experiment, this is another one, जिसमें children थे. Marshmallow. Marshmallow is a kind of a sweet thing. उसको roast करके भी खाया जाता है. Were given a marshmallow. Then told that if they could wait for a few minutes to eat it, they would receive a second one. The children didn't want to wait. Those unable to endure the delay suffered more in adolescence and scored markedly lower on this than children who were able to wait. The author is connecting this tendency with how they performed in tests, how they performed in school, how they did well, whether they did well in life or not. He's connecting it with that. Traits such as indolence and apathy. Indolence is laziness. Apathy is what? You are insensitive. You don't care. May indeed be manifestations of present bias. People who just are biased for the present. People who say that मुझे आज ही चाहिए, आज ही चाहिए, आज ही चाहिए. I'm restless. I'm like, so lazy that I don't want to wait for the future. I don't want to kind of work hard for the future. That's how he's connecting. May indeed be manifestations of present bias. The moment I read this manifestation, I understand one thing here. There can be a trap here agar question diya jaye. Why? Because this is cause and effect. Present bias hai. Indolence and apathy are manifestations of this. So present bias is the cause. Okay. Indolence and apathy are the results. They are the effects. Okay. Question agar mila, to yahan pe question setter will be tempted to give you the wrong cause effect trap. Material success is predicated on one's ability to recognize hedonistic impulses, understand. Okay. Itna clear hai. Now the third para. What was once known as exponential discounting? Since there are only 3 paragraphs and these are like, easy to understand paragraphs, I'm discussing these. Otherwise, I would have done my skipping. What was once known as exponential discounting? Exponential results you get. Exponential discounting, काफी high, काफी fast. Length of the delay was given, okay, has been renamed hyperbolic discounting. Why? So what is hyperbolic? Figures of speech में hyperbole is what? Exaggeration. 1000 बार बोला है मैंने आपको मत किया करो ये काम. 50,000 बार बोला है मत जाना वहां. Right? That is exaggeration. It's raining cats and dogs. I can give an arm and a leg to buy this dress. Right? Aisa. So hyperbolic discounting because the effects of time delay do not seem strictly linear. Straight line में नहीं है. Kind of it becomes exponential. Exaggerated form में, ज़्यादा form में. Right? Sorry. This experiment reveals, I'm not reading the exact experiment, the actual one, reveals the difficulty, some difficulty he has given here. It reveals the difficulty of making effective financial decisions. So the author does not like this discounting wala fact about one's future priorities, just as the choice to procrastinate requires the unlikely supposition, greater set of resources. Okay. Clear. You don't need to go into each and every point, each and every word in order to understand the big picture. What does the author feel about this discounting thing? No, he says it has implications. It reveals the difficulty of making effective decisions. And the main idea is what? The main idea is discounting connected with behavioral economics, right? And experiments were done, marshmallow, dollar or ye wo jo bhi, and it shows how people behave, right? So let's go over to the questions now. The function of the second para within the passage may be appropriately characterized as what? Second para says what? Discounting, there are 2 experiments here, dollar wala and this marshmallow thing, right? Manifestations and then, okay, understand the consequences, delay or suppress gratification. He talks about discounting here and then he comes up with behavioral economists, right? Identified this extreme discounting. In experiments were offered this, right? So let's see how we can connect. Question 1. Analyzing the psychological source of the phenomenon introduced in the first para. Psychological sources, okay? Phenomenon introduced, correct. Elaborating upon and qualifying the main proposition put forth in the first para. Put forth in the first para is correct. Main proposition. Elaborating upon and qualifying. Is he explaining it? Yes, he is. Providing an alternative point of view on the positions already established? No. He is not coming up with an alternative point of view. He is taking that point, the main point, further by talking about behavioral scientists, right? Psychologists or scientists. Illustrating one aspect of the phenomenon named in the first para and offering possible social implications. Illustrating, exemplifying, highlighting, elucidating. Okay, so this is better, right? Because he is giving you the word illustrating. Now, psychological sources of the phenomenon. Sources, not exactly. He's talking about two experiments, the dollar thing and the marshmallow thing. And now let's look for the difference between the two. Elaborating upon and qualifying the main proposition. Okay. Illustrating one aspect of the phenomenon named in the first para. I need to go back and prove this, right? What is less well known is that people are willing, okay, discounting. Value of delayed reward is discounted. Mind of the receiver. Helps explain the straightforward time value of money, but its manifestations can be far more dramatic. How? So he comes up with behavioral economists and then he gives you the implications, serious ramifications. Do you see here? Then even here, manifestations of this, because it shows indolence and apathy later develop hota hai aapke life mein if you are behaving this way, right? So I go back to this. One aspect of the phenomenon named in the first paragraph. What is the phenomenon named there? That is discounting, right? One aspect of the phenomenon. What is the one aspect of the phenomenon? How do people behave in these situations, right? And offering possible social implications, it's given. Why does B not fit? B says elaborating upon and qualifying the main proposition put forth in the first para. Elaborating upon is fine. Qualifying, he's not trying to qualify. Qualify means, arguing for it. Somebody is saying, critics are saying, no, this is bad. So the author argues for it and in the end says, yes, this is true. So qualifying the main proposition, not exactly. He's just taking forward the main proposition and then he's explaining it with the help of certain examples, experiments. So between B and D, this is better. Okay, the passage suggests which of the following about the traits of indolence and apathy, right? They are predicated on one's material success. They may be regarded as the effects of a tendency towards extreme discounting. They may be manifested in present bias. They may seem innocuous, but they have serious ramifications. I'll take you back. सब अच्छा लग रहा है इसमें, है ना? Go back to this. Now, those unable to endure the delay suffered from more behavioral problems in adolescence as you grow up and scored markedly lower on standardized tests than other children who had the patience, who were able to wait, right, thereby earn another treat. Traits such as indolence and apathy may indeed be manifestations of present bias. So if you are behaving this way, you don't have patience, you are quite hasty, you want the treat today. This leads to indolence and apathy later. So your present bias is your cause and indolence and apathy later effects. Okay. Material success is predicated on one's ability to recognize hedonistic impulses, understand their consequences, delay, suppress. Now I take you back to this. So let's eliminate. They are predicated on one's material success? No. Because यहाँ क्या बोला है इसने? Material success is predicated on one's ability to recognize materialistic pleasures. Hedonistic is materialistic. So material success आपका जो होता है, that depends on one's ability to recognize this. That does not mean these indolence and apathy are predicated on one's material success. This is distortion and attractive word trap. Predicated पकड़ लिया वहां से, बच्चा देखेगा बोलेगा हाँ ये तो वहां दिया हुआ है, right? But this is completely distorted, eliminated. They may be regarded as the effects. I like this. Remember I showed you that technique over there. Manifestation है, it presents itself है. तो वहाँ पे फौरन पता चलता है, like with practice I know कि अच्छा यहाँ पे ना there will be a question set. So cause effect ऐसा. Effects of a tendency toward extreme discounting, that is what the para is discussing. So I'll keep this. They may be manifested in present bias. Because of present bias, these two get manifested later. Right? So they may be manifested in present bias, wrong, cause, effect. Eliminated. So you'll be able to spot this one if you understand the technique that I gave you while I was reading it. They may seem harmless, but they have serious ramifications. This is fine. But they may seem harmless. Who said that they seem harmless? Right? So the answer is B. Hope it's clear. It can be inferred that the word hyperbolic in the phrase hyperbolic discounting signifies what? It's something like, hyperbolic. What was that he replaced? He replaced something, yeah. Earlier it was exponential and hyperbolic. So that they're not strictly linear. That means zyada hota hai. The non-linearity in the consequences of various delays, not linear bola hai usne. The exaggeration of the effects of time delay, ye bhi hai. The direct correlation between a delay's duration and a perceived discount's magnitude, complete distortion. The exponential growth of the size of the discounting. The discounting is not growing. Okay, the discounting is the tendency. This exponential growth of the discounting, no. Still, I'll take you back and we'll check. What does he say here? What was once known as exponential discounting, because the length of the delay before a reward was given seemed to correlate directly with the size of the perceived discount. In simple language, what does this mean? Exponential इसलिए बोला जाता था because the length of the delay before a reward. Let's say you are getting this sweet toffee. Okay? So the length of the delay before the reward, let's say 2 hours, before a reward was given seemed to correlate directly with the size of the perceived discount. Correlate directly with what? Size of the perceived discount. Discount यहाँ पे ये नहीं कि आपको पैसा कम पड़ रहा है. Discount is what we discussed earlier, discounting. I'm willing to go for this today instead of waiting for something else. So size of the perceived discount. After 3 days, you're going to give me 10. Today you're going to give me 1. I see this size of I perceive this size of discount and I want to go here. So ये इसने exponential discounting ये इसलिए बोला है because this connected somehow correlated जो भी यहाँ है, ठीक है? Has been renamed hyperbolic discounting. Why? Because the effects of time delay do not seem strictly linear. Here ये जो time delay है, here ये जो time delay, not here, यहाँ जो time delay है, this can be like this can be changing. This is not strictly linear कि यहाँ 2 घंटे हैं तो this connects this way with this. No, here there can be some changes, right? A study showed that people offered $50 now or $100 in a year were likely to choose the former. 50 now, right? But when people were offered either 50 in 5 years or 100 in 6 years, you get the point? 50 5 साल के बाद दूंगी, 100 6 years के बाद दूंगी. So 5 और 6 के बीच में there's only 1 year. So I can wait for that because I'm getting double. 50 का 100, whereas here 5 का 10 नहीं हो रहा है. 5 का it's only going up by 1 year. You see this? The same choice 5 years in the future. The vast majority chose the latter. Even I would choose this. 1 साल और wait कर लेंगे. Right? This experiment reveals the difficulty of making effective financial decisions about priorities just as the choice to procrastinate. Now we go back to this. Hyperbolic signifies in this context what? Exponential growth of the size of the discounting to as it is, like it was a little weird. The direct correlation, ये तो distortion साफ दिख रहा है. So between A and B, let's check. right? Between A and B now, the non-linearity in the consequences of various delays. ठीक है, non-linearity, yes, linear नहीं है, इसने clearly बताया. Consequences, various delays. Okay, instead of 5 it's going to be 6, so delay है वो, right? Okay, the exaggeration of the effects of time delay. Exaggeration. Is he discussing exaggeration there or non-linearity? If you go with hyperbole ka literal meaning, it will be exaggeration. If you go with the context, it is non-linearity, right? So the answer is this. Got it? Okay. Then one more is left, huh? According to the passage, which of the following is true of the children described who were able to wait to eat their first marshmallow? He connected it with later, like life may, you know, better decisions and something. Right? And okay, in case you're confused, I'll just take you back quickly. Who were able to wait? Yeah. Young children were given a marshmallow, then told that if they could wait, they would receive a second one. Those unable to endure scored markedly lower. Aisa. I'll take you over to the fourth question. Now, what happened to them who were able to wait? They scored lower on standardized tests than children unable to wait. Right? They suffered more frequently from behavioral problems as adolescents, more frequently, not exactly. Right? They each received a second marshmallow as part of the experiment. Each. Which of the following is true of the children? Each received. ये तो वैसे भी मिला ही था, like, you know, each received a second marshmallow, but each, still I'm like going to just hold on to it. They could be characterized as indolent or apathetic. He says in that particular paragraph that if you don't have the patience to wait, later that could manifest itself as indolence or apathy. That doesn't mean that those children necessarily could be characterized as this. So this is eliminated. So it's between A and C. Right? Now, they scored lower on standardized tests than children unable to wait. ये क्या पूछा है आपसे? Which of the following is true of the children described in the passage who were able to wait to eat their first marshmallow? They scored lower. Who scored lower? The children who were unable to wait, they scored lower. So this is absolutely opposite. So no matter how straightforward C seems, this has to be the answer because the others have traps. You understood this? I wanted to show you this question because इसमें generally student फंसेगा. No, this is true direct. Yes, they received a second marshmallow as part of the experiment. But you have to see that this is completely opposite. It looks good. They scored lower. दे तो रखा है. But who scored lower? The people who could not wait scored lower. ये तो बोला है which of the following is true of the children who were able to wait. They scored higher. Right? ये हमें नहीं पता उनका कैसा score हुआ. Right? Then children unable to wait. So this is completely opposite. So C is your answer. We are done with all the 4. Yes. Hope these questions are clear. I wanted to show you some techniques in this particular passage, especially वो जो cause effect वाला मैंने दिखाया, hang on to that. Very often, wrong cause effect is set as a trap. Alright guys, chalo, thank you very much. I'm going to see you again.